Hey folks, this is Waylon, and I am finally doing today's video. Um, I've been searching for a good topic, and finally I happened upon one about 5 seconds ago, which is inspired by my mother. So I am not a parent, which is apparent, and but it's my mom's birthday today. She's as she always jokes, she's turning Jack Benny style 39 years old for the whatever, the 20 somethingth time. So she's now 71, I believe. If you're just tuning in, please identify yourself and say where you're from. And it's just always really fun to see people from all over the world. And if you want to help Elephant out and this video out, Reach Beyond the Choir, you can just give it a like or a love or a funny faced emoticon or a emoticon particularly today about parents or children or family or homes, home sweet home. So I'm going to relate tips on how to be an incredible parent from the perspective of a former child. As they say in one of my favorite movies about a boy starring Hugh Grant and that British kid, Hugh Grant at one point says, he's talking about how to be a happy kid. And he said, well, I was a kid. That's my source of authority. So while I'm not a parent, I was parented by a wonderful mother. And so here's a couple tips. So we grew up super poor here in Boulder, Colorado. She bought, with my father, she bought our house at the time. I think it was like $40,000 or $70,000. It was very, very little at the time, and it was a beautiful house with a big old yard. It was not a huge house, but it was downtown, and we could walk everywhere. I could bike everywhere. And we didn't really have a TV most of the time. We didn't have chips. We didn't have pizza. We didn't have soda. But what we did have is real, simple, good food and good meals. And we had a lot of love. So my dad wasn't a huge part of my family. It was mostly just my mom and I. And here's a couple tips for what she did. So I already mentioned the real food, the lack of kind of BS entertainment. So I had almost no screen time my entire childhood. Now the screens are everywhere. We use them sort of as free babysitters, and I get it. I understand. I'm not judging, but I think obviously time running around, climbing trees, skinning your knee, biking around, learning danger step by step. I just had a long conversation with a colleague of mine at Elephant about there's this New York Times article. It's one of those articles that sticks with you that I read about maybe 10 years ago now that said jungle gyms in the 1950s versus jungle gyms today. So jungle gyms in the 50s were, say, this high. Jungle gyms today are this high. And they're all soft, and there's no sharp corners, and they're got cork floors or rubber floors. The whole approach, which is understandable, is you don't want kids to get hurt. But what happens is kids used to learn danger step by step. Danger or fear is just a part of life. It's a part of growing up. And when you learn it step by step, like in rock climbing, which I do a lot of at the gym, you learn how to negotiate fear and also how to protect yourself from danger. But when you're just on something where you have the illusion that you can't get hurt ever, you wind up just running up and then falling off when you're in a actually dangerous situation. So it's actually safer from a parenting point of view, as my mom did, to allow some sense of freedom or adventure or danger or fear to be around. We can't, we see now children on leashes sometimes, and I get it. Again, if you're in an airport or a mall or whatever, it's very easy to get into judging parents, and that's not helpful. But what is helpful is just reminding ourselves that, again, in the 1950s, that the range of your average child was 10 miles. And now the range of your average child, where they're allowed to go unattended, is the front lawn. That's actually a stat. Something like that. The 10 miles, I don't remember exactly. But when I was a child, we would bike all over town. We would play D&D. We'd play basketball. We would go to the arcade. We would, I don't remember what all we would do, play baseball or something. And there was some sense of freedom. And then, you know, my mom got to actually relax. I don't know actually what she did, but she was a busy mom. She worked a couple jobs, made very little money. She was exhausted. I remember her talking about being, you know, pretty much too exhausted to cook at the end of the day, at a long day, too exhausted to drive, just needing like a nap for about a year. And I'm sure many parents out there can relate. So giving children some sense of independence. The other thing she did, which was amazing, was we were very poor. She never made more than $12,000 a year. We actually wound up losing the house eventually because we couldn't afford it, the balloon payment. But we did free stuff. We went to the library. They had free movies. We went to museums on free days. We went to parks with our dog, which we also adopted for free. We the list of things that we did for free was just endless, and it's really a wonderful reminder that there's amazing community out there. Going to the farmers market now. What are other things I do for free that I love? Anyway, there's a long list. Just biking along the bike path, you know, is one of my great joys in my life. So if any of you comment, and so Patricia, I started off by saying it's my mom's birthday, and so I'm speaking like and about a boy from the point of view of having been parented by a loving, wonderful, wise, powerful mom. So I don't have children, and I can't wait to. I did, however, grow up to doing childcare for most of my life and leading summer camps. So I've had a fair amount of interaction with children, both in the difficulty of kind of training them or teaching them about life, and also the difficulty of, you know, once you have fun, being able to say no. So yeah, my mom was this incredible mother, and I just wanted to kind of do a video in her honor. The main thing that she did with me that was incredibly powerful, well, two things. One is mentally, she, for some reason, tricked me or taught me into thinking and believing that I was intelligent from a young age. She was a teacher, and she always somehow, in a positive way, assumed or made me assume that I was intelligent. So when I got an A, that was just kind of, that was great, but it wasn't a big surprise. And when I didn't do well, she helped me learn on my own without her doing the work for me how to do better. So in some way, she kind of taught me that I was intelligent. It was just that simple, really. And then from then on, I kind of believed I was intelligent, and I always applied myself, whether it was getting a haircut and, you know, I was asked to be still and be relaxed and be quiet, or it was, you know, getting straight A's, or just being a kind of good kid. I was just a good kid because she sort of taught me that I was a good kid. So I really appreciated the simplicity of how she just kind of taught me to be a good person by viewing me as a good person. I hope that makes some sense. I don't really know how she did it, but she tricked me into thinking I was a good, intelligent person, and then I kind of hopefully became one. Certainly better than the alternative. And then, you know, my memory of being a child with her is almost always just smiling, just being relaxed and smiling. And she really did that for me. She gave me, even though we may not have had money, we valued good education, we valued community, we valued decent food and environmental and social responsibility. She's posting nonstop right now about the Dakota pipeline. She's still that kind of person. And she just taught me kind of to appreciate life. Our home was full of beautiful, beautiful old oak furniture. I tend to buy it now, and it was all bought used and really cheaply. So I guess she just taught me from a Buddhist point of view. She was a Buddhist teacher and student about fundamental richness, which in Buddhism is called yun. And Ashley, you could put that in the comments, Y-U-N. Hopefully Ashley is putting lots of blogs about parenting, blogs by my mom. My mom has written a ton for Elephant about Buddhist stuff. And blogs about parenting, obviously, which is incredibly difficult and rewarding path, hopefully. So none of this is meant to be judgment or to be whatever, but just to relate to you how my mom parented. And she wasn't perfect. That's a great reminder too. No parent can be perfect. One kind of neurotic thing she did, even as a kid, I found it really neurotic, was she wouldn't complain. She wouldn't call me on little things. She wouldn't say, "Hey, please don't do whatever." But she would remember those little things, and then at the end of the month, I would do some little thing like leave a plate out instead of washing it. I don't really remember. And she would yell at me and list all the things I had done wrong for the entire month while I just stared at her for like, it seemed like an hour, but it was probably like 10 minutes or 20 minutes. I just stared and waited for it to be over. It wasn't like she was really talking to me. So that was a thing I learned not to do, in relationships, is if something bothers you, just be willing to be uncomfortable, be willing to communicate about it in the moment. And for me, that I wrote a chapter about that in Things I Would Like to Do With You, which is I want to hear from you. The title was something like, I would like to hear from you when you are confused. I would like to hear from you when you are bothered by anything. A relationship can't kind of go on autopilot. It's not a Tesla, right? A relationship has to be able to adjust and negotiate, kind of like when you're on a toboggan, you make lots of little, or a mountain bike, lots of little adjustments all the time. And those adjustments are based on the present moment. And so a relationship, no matter how long you've been in one, is founded on the present moment and being honest and open about that moment, even if it's uncomfortable. There's a little quote for Lindsay Ashley, if you timestamp it. All right, so I'm going to go through any comments or questions. There's probably a lot more my mom did that was wonderful. If you have more questions about her, her name is Linda Lewis, and she's an incredible lady. I just got off the phone with her. All righty. Let me see. Danielle, hey to you. Joy from Indiana. Lisa from London. Ashley is the editor on duty. Give Ashley some love. If you haven't yet, please give the video a like or a heart or a funny emoticon face. The number one way, if you feel like it, if you feel so inspired to support independent media, which is really the foundation of a democratic open society, is to get our newsletter. Right now, through Facebook, it's incredibly difficult to share meaningful news. We can blog about 18 reasons your ex-boyfriend was a toxic person or whatever, and everyone will see it on Facebook. But if we blog about the Dakota Pipeline or climate change or parenting or anything kind of a little less sexy than that, no one will see it on Facebook. So please get the newsletter. elephantjournal.com/best. It's our online magazine. Happy birthday to my mama from Alyssa in Minnesota. Thank you. Yeah, so folks, hopefully you saw Ashley's note. If you're just tuning in, say where you're from. If you want to support this video getting through Facebook's mini algorithm, please like, love, funny emoticon face, comment, or share. Kimberly from San Diego. Ken from Toronto. This is becoming your new lunch activity. Awesome, Ken. Cordy, who is our web mistress, our webmaster. Web mistress sounds wrong. Cordy from Connecticut. I always think she's in California for some reason. Janet, hello from Hobbs, New Mexico. The girl that was said to be in a pickle. I don't remember. What's the pickle? Nienke from the Netherlands. Monica from the land of the Cubs. Kelly from New Orleans, but went to Boulder a few weeks ago. Oh yeah, did we meet at Zeal? Oh yeah. Sounds like we did. All right, Nikki from Wisconsin. Ashley, that quote from Hugh Grant doesn't make any sense. My point about Hugh Grant was he was saying, I was a kid. That's how I know. That was my source of authority, not that I was a source of authority. Anyway, if you saw About a Boy, that's what it is. Ashley, no need to share random quotes. Just share blogs and helpful stuff for people, links. So as I talk, Ashley is doing a great job sharing links and helpful references from people who know a lot more than I do about parenting on Elephant Journal. So if you want to read those articles after there should hopefully be some good resources. So Asia from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Navarra, hats off to my mom. She did a good job. I'm very apprehensive about being the right kind of mom. Parenting is complicated somehow. Really? I've heard it's very easy. No, it's incredibly intimidating, but it's also super fun. And, I had a friend who was a really good guy but didn't have his life together, Jeremy. He had a kid at a pretty young age, and he just got his stuff together and has been the most amazing father. So you really can do it. If you show up, that's half the battle, right? Really just show up. Kelly, perfect conversation as I was inspired in Boulder watching climbers at Eldo. I will be bringing my 2-year-old to the local New Orleans rock climbing gym. Yeah, rock climbing gyms are amazing because there's a huge experience of danger and learning how to negotiate danger safely, which is one of the great gifts we can give to our children. So then we can really trust and relax because they can handle themselves. But rock climbing gyms have big pads. I've climbed nonstop for many 12, 14 years. I've never been injured, and I've fallen plenty of times, and I've really only seen one injury in that entire time in 14 years. Janet, I think if you ever slowed down, you'd be an amazing father. I get that from the presence you present here. I was lucky enough to live the childhood before PCs and cell phones out in nature. Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to slow down. Last year, I actually slowed down a lot, had a great relationship, but then the Facebook algorithm kind of killed Elephant. 2/3 of our readers went whew, after, 8 years of investing our staff and time and money into Facebook. Just whew. So now I'm back to working night and day. But that's okay. If you all get on our newsletter, then maybe I can relax and have some children. That's the weirdest sentence I've ever said in my life. Alrighty. Heather, Jackie, my son was very hyperactive when he was young, and I bought a leash for him at the mall and put it on. He proceeded to get on all fours and bark like a dog. Needless to say, I took it off and never put it on again. That's the most charming story ever. Jackie, I hope you write that up. If any of you are inspired to write, elephantjournal.com/submit. There's a great blog, Eating Homemade Food Cooked with Love Nourishes Us Like Nothing Else. Ashley, let's see a whole bunch more links. There should be a ton about how to parent, how to be a good parent, that kind of thing. Patricia, I don't have any children, but I am my own child, perhaps. Joy has a point about predators. Patricia, yes, parenting is challenging. Also did lots of free stuff. Loved when various community groups and churches had free meals. Yeah, there's tons of potlucks. I mean, community is, it takes a village kind of thing. Community can really help. I grew up in a lot of communal environments, and I had dozens and dozens and dozens of aunts and uncles, people who I just could hang out with, and they could teach me stuff, whether it was music or basketball or nature or, just how to be a good person. So community was awesome. Patricia, Dave Rogers is here from Israel. Jackie Rodriguez, happy birthday to my mom. Sheila, happy birthday to my mom. She sounds like a lovely human and clearly did a great job raising you. Yeah, she worked her butt off and she was super cool. Elephant, going to the local farmers market is a great way to experience community and have a fun time for free. Let's get more parenting blogs in there, Ashley. Maybe you already have. Janet, happy birthday to my mom, who raised an amazing, caring human being. Bravo, thank you. Nikki, happy birthday to my mom. Happy birthday to my mom. I hope you all somehow could pass this on to her, but maybe she'll see this. Rusty, my name is Waylon Lewis. I'm the founder or editor-in-chief of Elephant Journal. Patricia, beautiful gifts. Yes, my mom always told me I could do anything I had put my mind to. Good messaging that becomes our inner voice. Yeah, Heather, thank you for helping. Kimberly, did I feel I was a priority and that was important to me? I felt that she loved me, but it wasn't sort of the school without walls, like children first culture when I was a kid. I was part of the team, I felt like I was part of the team. I tried to help my mom a lot. It wasn't some sense of her entire life was for me and to serve me, which I feel like is a little bit upside down. I really tried to help my mom nonstop. I was a really good kid until, as she would tell you, I was 15, and then I just wanted to have a good time and party, and I turned into her nightmare for a year. All right, Patricia, awesome mama, water is life. Heather, I do what your mom did. My kids are so good because I teach them that they are so good. Yeah, well, make sure they have cool little mountain bikes if they can bike all over town. Maybe they already do. That was one of my great joys, was just biking around Boulder with Noel and my other friends and just kind of just biking around. It was almost sort of like Stranger Things, which I haven't seen actually. Edna Kate, I was always told I could do anything, not what I could or couldn't do. Naomi, my mom, yeah, everyone should be like Edna or Naomi here. Say what your mom or your father gave to you that was actually really helpful and powerful. Let's get a ton of comments about that. Tips from you guys. Let's crowdsource this conversation. Naomi, my mom gave me trust. She came through on promises, and that is a great thing. Jennifer is a single mama to a young son. I love this. Thank you. Awesome, Jennifer. Huge love to the single mamas and fathers out there. We have a lot of blogs on single parenting. Ashley, if you want to share those. Ev, cheerful birthday to my mom. Fundamental goodness, that is a great link, Ashley. This was what my mom taught me more than anything. Basic goodness is the foundation of our human nature. Please read that, everybody, especially if you're a parent. Janet, I appreciate the fact that you share with us your life being poor, that childhood can still be well done without having wealth, which most put too much value in. It's not the only way to raise a well-rounded adult. Amen, Janet. Yeah, probably everything I wore was a hand-me-down, and I still loved it. And when one year I got a new game of Risk, you know, the board game, for probably like my 12th birthday, and it must have been like, it was like winning the lottery. And here's a real reminder to everybody. And it was like winning the lottery because I played Risk all summer up at Shambhala Mountain Center with my friends and become obsessed. That a gift with meaning is worth far more than a gift that costs X dollars, right? So I had an incredibly rich and wealthy childhood because we did a ton of cultural stuff, because I was loved, because I had some sense of freedom and adventure and fun, because I was lucky. I was wealthy in the sense that I had a safe streets and a good education, and that I valued both of those. So we were able to walk. We didn't have a car most of my childhood. We walked and we biked, and it was fun. And we were close to downtown, so we could do it. But there were hard times where my mom cried because it was Christmas, and we were just eating plain rice and popcorn. And this isn't a poor me thing. Like, it's hard. We lost our house. There was a huge source of stress for years because she knew this dreaded balloon payment was coming and that she wasn't going to be able to pay it and that we were going to lose our home. So she was basically forced to sell the home, which, is tough. She didn't know anything about money. So I think that's a real reminder. I don't know if Dave Rogers is still here, but this man who works with Elephant and is a longtime best friend, has really taught me a lot about money, and he'll be the first one to tell you I don't know about money. So that's a valuable education. All right, you guys have to see this. Here's my audience here in Boulder. Look at that guy. What a dork. There should be a flood of likes and funny dog emoticons right now. If you love the Redford because he's a dork. All right, he's back to normal napping posture. Okay. Janet, amen. Let's all like Janet's comment. I really appreciate that. The one about you don't need to be rich to be truly, genuinely wealthy. There's Ashley, the editor's favorite elephant article by Linda. It's about Buddhism in everyday life. I don't know what the article is quite about, but it's good stuff. Krista, sending love and light from Pittsburgh. Rani, from somewhere. Rani Mukherjee, cool name. Patricia, still in Thailand until March. Becoming a regular here too, apparently. LOL. Awesome. I'm honored. Hopefully it can be a two-way conversation always. Jody, good morning from Maui. All right, everyone here is jealous of Jody. Joey from Oregon. I'm also jealous of Oregon. I've never been. Hey, Waylon from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. I try to tune in every day. Thank you so much. Love the newsletter. Thank you so much for reading it. When you read Elephant, when you read our newsletter, you are keeping us alive. If any of you want to keep Elephant around, just click on something or write something or share something. Get something out of it. You don't have to do anything for us. You can just find an article that is helpful for you. From Ashley, get our Brie newsletter. I think she means free. Tiffany, good vibes from London. Hey, I had a dream about I was in London last night, which is really odd. Autumn from Mishawaka. Sounds very romantic. Autumn Danette from Mishawaka, Indiana. I could write a short story about that. Nikika Delik. We are all intelligent and emotional human beings. People just need confirmation. Yeah, as a kid, you can be very easily taught that you're dumb, or taught that you're intelligent, or taught that you're bad, or taught that you're fundamentally good. It's a very powerful, simple lesson to get. Kelly, hey. Karen from South Africa. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know. Wendy from Mariposa. Kelly from somewhere. Teresa from Auburn, Indiana. Shantha from Malaysia. Wow, everyone give Shantha some love. Winnipeg. All right, how to raise a girl. Let's get lots more comments, blogs about parenting, Ashley, in there. Single parenting, that kind of thing. Ken, my kids remind me of basic goodness every day. If you let them be themselves, they are apt to give you the most meaningful compliments. Let's all give Ken some love. I love that. We got 260 people watching live right now. Pretty cool. It's probably because I showed Redford on video. Brandy, there is no one way to parent as long as you teach morals, respect, and that self-worth is important. Well said. Elephant, how to raise a boy. Danielle Moss. Danielle, I find that I guilt myself as I parent my two sons constantly. I love this comment. Finally, someone's being open and sharing a really powerful comment. It's really powerful when we do this, when we're brave in this way. I am so terrified of screwing them up and hurting their self-esteem with too much criticism, but then too scared of not giving them enough stability and being too lax, quote unquote, when I let things slide. I can't find the damn balance, or maybe I have the balance, but don't allow myself to see it. Ugh, so hard. Well, here's my advice, Danielle, if I may, because I am not a parent. So first of all, respect to you, because you clearly, in your entire comment, care, and caring is love. So you're not on the wrong path. You care a lot, almost too much, to the point where you're guilting yourself, and that caring is love. But caring, can be a positive thing for yourself. You can honor that you care so much. Many of us were parented by people who didn't care that much, right? I've had an experience of that. We all have had experience of that, or many of us. So you care. So they're so lucky. So first of all, guilt tripping yourself is not super helpful. It's good to touch on that guilt. I've talked before about that. Trungpa Rinpoche would say guilt or regret, worry is a powerful and important thing to feel for 3 seconds. And then you let go and move on. And you let go by saying, okay, we're in the present moment. Boom, I got to show up. So guilting yourself is not ultimately helpful for yourself or for your children, more than just touching on it and reflecting on it and learning from it. And don't guilt yourself about guilting yourself. You really just, as they say in Buddhism, smile if you have to. You don't need to fake smile, but just take a deep breath and be good to yourself. So Ashley, let's share the blog about Maitri. Danielle, if you haven't read it, really just being kind to yourself, loving yourself, that will enable you to be kind to your children, love them. And also, I wrote a blog called Balance is Overrated. Balance is more like most of us think of balance like this. My work is here, my love and my relationships, my family are here. Everything must be balanced. But that's not actually balance. Balance is harmony. Balance is like sailing with the wind. Balance is, what do you call it? A teeter-totter. So it's balanced right in the middle, but it moves here and there. So you're never going to find a perfect balance It's like surfing. The only balance you'll ever find will be something where you're moving and ultimately relaxing and breathing and having a good time on an uncertain foundation, right? That was me pretending to surf in my mind. So let's all give love to Danielle, huge love to Danielle, and remember to read that blog about my tree and give yourself a little love. There's a beautiful article from Ashley on the Good Mother, an article link that you can read. Janet from Hobbs, New Mexico came here and got stuck after leaving an abusive relationship, disabled and living on a meager check now, so it's been really, really hard, but you can inspire me to know that I might and can find a way out. Janet, thank you so much for sharing. Let's all give Janet some love. So my number one advice, whenever you're having a hard time, I have a hard time sometimes, nothing like what you've described, so I honor and respect what you're sharing. But is community. Whenever I'm depressed or down, I have to kind of force myself to re-engage in community, and community almost always will lift me up. So find a loving community, and even if it's not a community that's actually really interacting with you or me, even just going to a farmer's market or going to a cafe, finding some place where you can interact in a kind of ordinary, even superficial way is incredibly powerful. So Janet, big love, and let us know how we can help. And Ashley, if you can share any articles about, recovering from an abusive relationship, that would be appreciated. Edna Kate, yeah, I meant to mention this earlier with another comment. Great question. How do you know when it's time to have kids and be the good parent? Well, for me, until probably a year or two ago, I didn't feel ready to be a parent. I did have a difficult experience with my father, and I was afraid of kind of being my father in a sense. My stepbrother and I love my father, respect to him. We're friends now, and he's really grown up. But I wanted to kind of be able to start fresh and have a loving relationship with my future children. So until the last year or two, I really didn't feel ready. And this creature right here is the guy who taught me that I felt ready to be a parent. Because, when Redford runs across the street or runs off and is a bad boy, and I can yell at him to come back, hey, don't cross the street, whatever. But you have to be really welcoming when he comes back, because that helps him remember to come back. If you yell at him and you're angry at him when he comes back, you good?
Oh.
Hey, we can talk for a sec.
Okay.
Commercial break, folks.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
So basically, we got a good portion of the inside down.
Let's go here.
We'll have to come back. I'm not feeling well, so it's cut a little short.
Oh shoot, you okay?
Yeah. But we did get the inside.
When can you all come back? Because we want to be able to move forward.
Okay.
Maybe just ask Brian.
Yeah, we could do it as early as Monday.
Oh, okay, cool. Let's try and do that.
Okay.
Because we were going to do it yesterday, and then it got rescheduled.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to move forward.
Yeah. I apologize.
Cool. No, feel better.
Yeah, I'm a little sick, but
Okay.
we got most of the inside, so I'll work on drawing that up for the rest of today. Whatever I
You're
miss
basically just doing
inside.
a blueprint for the whole
Yeah.
house?
Yeah. So whatever I miss inside.
Is this like an engineering thing, so you know what's load bearing and all that kind of thing?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll have a structural look at it, especially
Yeah.
on the second floor, the roof deck up there.
Okay.
We're gonna do the addition.
Cool.
Yeah. So we'll come back Monday or early next week
Great.
and finish what we
I
missed
also wanted to
inside.
maybe open up the attic, which is small, to be livable or workable.
Okay.
Like a play area or something for kids or
Okay.
that kind of thing. So
Okay.
just keep that in mind.
Cool.
I think it's pretty load bearing and all that, but if we're messing around with stuff. Cool.
Cool.
Feel better.
Keep in mind.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Sorry for the rescheduling.
Oh no, you're good. You can leave that note too. I'll read it later if I missed anything. All right, folks. Sorry about that. So anyway, I was just saying that I learned that Redford taught me that being a jerk, being angry, no matter how well-founded, however good the reason is. If you're here, if you're still here, just give a like or a love and let me know that you're still here, that I'm not blabbing to myself. It says we have 260 people in every second, which is cool, but I'm not sure. Okay, I'm seeing a whole bunch of likes. Thank you. Thanks, guys, for sticking around. Sorry about that. I'll let you know what is happening in a second, because it's actually kind of exciting. So, if Redford runs across the street and nearly gets killed, and he comes back because I holler, Redford, 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 and I'm angry, and I want to hit him or teach him not to do that. Oh! All that he learns is to be afraid of me. All that he learns is maybe not to come back. So it's sort of similar with being a parent, is that basically if you find yourself yelling or angry at a child or a pet, anyone who's dependent on you, it may be understandable or well-founded, but it's not actually helpful. It doesn't actually accomplish anything helpful. And that was a really profound lesson for me, that, if Redford doesn't come when I call him, and he goes and plays with some dog where the owners don't want him to play with him or something, I don't really get to be mad. I basically just have to take responsibility to train him better. And it's kind of that simple. So until I really learned that lesson, I never wanted to be a parent, because I never wanted to be angry. I never wanted to set the pattern for children that when something goes wrong and I'm frustrated and uptight, that anger is a good way to deal with it. Because I feel like I kind of learned that when I was a kid. On the other hand, you don't want to be too uptight about that. Like, all parents are going to get angry. All parents are going to get frustrated and claustrophobic and lose their shit, right? So I think parents, like that one comment, you can give yourself such a hard time. And, I've had really great friends. Most of my friends are parents, and I've had great conversations where they say, look, you just mess up nonstop. You just mess up, mess up, mess up, mess up, mess up. And yet somehow, if love is the foundation, if basic goodness is the foundation of all of it, it's so worth it, and it's so good, and the children can be wonderful. And, trying to be perfect, there's a great blog about that, The Perfect Mother or something. Maybe Ashley already put that in the comments. But trying to be perfect is just as much an obstacle to parenting, expectation of perfection, as is being a jerk. So there's a middle way. The Buddha often talks about the middle way. Not too tight and not too loose. Autumn, haha. Asia, parenting 3 pre-teens, 14, 12, 11 years old, feeling totally lost and overwhelmed most of the time. Well, I can't blame you, because that's an intense period of time. Are there any helpful comments from any of you parents who might have 14, 12, 11-year-old children, or children in that neighborhood? Any comments for Asia? Or Ashley, can you think of any blogs that would be helpful? Ev, I have a fur child, as you say. Jennifer, I don't have kids. I think I'd be the overly strict parent. I think being overly strict is a great way to learn how to not be overly strict. Because if you're overly strict about things, there's just not enough circulation, not enough breath. You just gotta kind of loosen up, like the Tin Man, and oil all your joints, oil your heart joint. Krista, my mother is who I have had to recover from, but I'm not a victim any longer. I know one thing, I am her opposite, and I was created to be a mother myself. Heart, I broke the cycle. Good for you. Yeah, my stepbrother and I, when we were kids, we said, I think we took like an oath, a vow. We were like, we are not going to be crazy parents. We are going to be loving parents. We're going to break the cycle, kind of. Alyssa, we love taking our kids places, but with 7 of us, it is too expensive. We tend to use the library, game stores, state parks, the river, Nerf wars, game nights, lots of school activities and church events. The community concerts are our favorites. Alyssa, I want to be your 8th child. That sounds super fun. That sounds so fun, I want to read that again. Alyssa, we love taking our kids places, but with 7 of us, it is too expensive. We tend to use the library, just like my mom did, game stores, state parks, just like my mom did, the river, like my mom, Nerf wars, you're a little bit lucky and I'm jealous, game nights, lots of school activities and church events, just like my mom. The community concerts are our favorites. Yeah, so community, church, school activities. Whew, that made me happy. All right, Teresa, communication is an incredible parenting tool. Speak with your children, listen to their voices. All right, I think I'm going to wrap up pretty soon because it looks like the readership is dropping, the viewership is dropping. If you want it to continue, you can like or love it, and we'll end with 2 minutes of meditation, but I know it's gone on for a while. We're at 250 viewers per second, which is cool, but I only want to do this if I'm not boring people to tears. Autumn, integrating cousins into my kids' lives and healthy relationships with my own sibling is important to me. Teaching how to be a family. Happy birthday to your mom. Thank you, Autumn, and great advice. There's a blog from Ashley. Raising a dog is great training for raising a child. Oh, that's by Lindsay. 10 reasons everyone should have a dog before a kid. That's great. Lindsay and her boyfriend have a wonderful dog that they're very caring about. Megan, always tell your parents you love them. Lost my mom a week ago. She always taught me to be a good person. Huge love, and if everyone can find Megan Whittier McKay's comment and give her some love in a comment, big love to you. That's one thing I never have really wanted to think about too much is losing my mom. I mean, she's in fine fettle now, but she's definitely had plenty of injuries and has slowed down a little bit over the last couple years. I just called her. It's her birthday today, and that's why I'm doing this video. And, you know, trying to relate how she was a great parent. And she was talking about how she wants to go to Tibet to study with this translator who's been under house arrest by the Chinese, but that she feels for the first time in her life that she maybe doesn't have the energy, the altitude. There's really no facilities, no bathrooms particularly. It's kind of rough, and it's one of the first times I've ever heard her say, I don't think I can do it. So she's getting older. We all are. Happy Calm Child, unconditional love. Kimberly, can you speak to those who might have had a rough childhood and feel fear around becoming a parent themselves? Kimberly, so that is me. So the half that I haven't talked about as much is my father, and I don't mean this in a bad way. He's such a sweet, loving father now, I'm pretty sure. He has 2 new children, or newer, and he's awesome. And it's never too late to grow up and to change and to be a great parent. But with me, he just really wasn't around, and it wasn't super good in other ways that I won't go into. So, but I did have a rough childhood in terms of him, and it gave me a ton of fear. I'm 42 now. I never really wanted to be I always wanted to be a parent, but I never wanted to be a parent until I was ready, and I felt like I was ready. And as I was just talking about ready, Redford helped me feel like I was ready, finally. When I just ultimately learned, you know, that even if you're yelling at your dog, or I just talked about this, but with Redford, don't run across the street. You could get run over by a car. When you find yourself yelling at a cute little dog who's like, oh, you just realize that you're the jerk, even if it's well-intentioned. That is just not helpful. And when I had to have that lesson again and again and again and again, and when I finally got it, and it wasn't like I had one moment where I got it. He trained me. Redford, my dog, trained me. And now I feel like I'm more ready. Because in a lot of other ways, I feel very inspired to and ready to be a parent. But that was the one thing. I just was afraid that I would get mad at my children and then they'd be scared and it would be sad. John, Stranger Things was exactly how I grew up. Hopefully not exactly. Also Stand By Me. Amen. Exactly. So, yeah, it was a good way of life. Just playing basketball and playing Dungeons and Dragons or whatever games and going to the arcade and making some innocent trouble. And it's pretty good stuff. Having good school. Ashley, my mom always told me I had great self-esteem and I've grown up to be a confident person. That's great. Jessica, my mother said she would always find out, so I might as well be honest. I love that. Yeah, I remember lying to my mom and other people a couple times. It never worked out well. One time, I was super bored at a Thanksgiving dinner, and I went into some random room and I found a lighter, and for some reason I got super. I was like probably like 4 or something. I got super into like lighting the edge of this white kind of linoleum-ish desk, and I just turned it from white to brown, and I was super fascinated by it. You know how kids can be. And then I realized I just sort of burned the edge of this desk, and it became like I was in jail. I knew it was a horrible thing, and I was going to get busted, and they were going to take me away. And I remember weeks later, my mom walked in to my bedroom in the morning and said, Waylon, or maybe it was at night, Waylon, we have to talk. I have to ask you a question. Did you burn Megan's desk? And I was like, it was all my nightmares came true. And I was like, no, I didn't. And of course I did, and they knew it, and it just became worse. And it became basically this, like, for a little kid, it was probably worse than going to Guantanamo emotionally, um, in my mind. So telling the truth is a wonderful lesson to pass on. So Jessica, thank you for that. Susie, my dad used to say you can have anything you want in this world if you're willing to pay the price. That seems good. I'd love to hear more about that. Ken, my mom gave me warmth and humor. She always smiled. My mom too. She had such wonderful taste about just simple things. She had a very kind of like 1920s, 1930s kind of taste. Everything was wholesome and simple and just real and good. Heather, my mom taught me that beauty was more than skin deep and to make the most of what you have. Heather, another Heather. My mom struggled as a parent, and as a result, I found my gift doing doula teaching work. I'm not a parent, but part of that very much community that is needed. Such a gift. Heather, thank you. You sound like a gift. There's another blog from Ashley. Single parenting doesn't have to be a drag. 5 essentials to thriving as a single parent. Janet, I had to give up my child at 13 to her godmother due to my disability. She has extreme ADHD. I have a lot of guilt over that. No one seems to understand her, and they consider her a bad kid. She seems so defensive toward everyone. I guess since she feels no one understands her or dislikes, and everyone dislikes her disruptive behavior, what kind of advice could I give her now at 19? She has so little self-esteem and no friends. Not for long, anyhow. Well, that's a powerful question, and thank you for sharing, Janet. I think we have a lot of blogs on how to work with ADHD, whether in another person, like a child, or in ourselves. And a lot of this world only undermines or encourages ADHD in the sense that a lot of us have some form of ADHD in the sense that we're always trying to be busy and fill the gap, and we're hyper, and we're always trying to multitask. We can't even walk down the street without looking at our phone. I mean, I can't tell you how many times in Boulder someone nearly walks into me because they're on their phone, or there's some stunningly beautiful, like right now it's autumn, some stunningly beautiful tree, and with the golden tree and golden leaves on a tree, and I'm just staring at it like, oh my God, because I'm Buddhist boy trying to be mindful. And someone walks by on their phone and doesn't even see it at all, and you have this moment of sadness where you're like, you know, it's fine, they're probably having a good time texting a friend, so you can't really prejudge, but there is some sense that they're missing out on what's right in front of them, that they're not stopping to smell the roses. So, Janet, the most powerful thing in terms of self-esteem is Maitri, is to be able to make friends with the loneliness, with the insecurity, with the sadness, with the guilt. That applies to you and to your daughter. That is one of the most important life skills that you can learn, especially when you're 19 or young. It's often rare to really be truly able to love yourself and all the parts of you that maybe don't seem lovable. So read that blog on Maitri, and hopefully, if you'll be inspired to read further, you can read Pema Chodron or, Maitri is this great salve, a healing salve that you can apply to that kind of guilt or sadness, or even with ADHD. It's like cooling, it will cool the fire of ADHD. Obviously, there's a lot more you need to do, but, your guilt is not serving your daughter. It's powerful to feel that guilt, but you don't have to feel that out of some sense of blame. You can let go of that, and that'll allow you to kind of give yourself a fresh start and your daughter a fresh start in terms of her relationship with you and her relationship with herself. So I don't know all of your situation, but let's all give Janet some support and love, and even if it's over the internet, hopefully you can feel that love and support. So give Janet some love. Edna Kate, should I keep going? It seems like viewership is dropping, which is a little unusual, but maybe I've bored people and it's gone out too long. There's a ton of great comments here. I guess I'll keep going because there's so many good comments. Edna Kate, Mama also cut TV out when I was in 3rd grade and told me to go be creative and go outside. I was also raised in an art gallery and then yelled at for being a studio art major. Love my mama, she is. Steel magnolias and fried green tomatoes and a dash of Gone with the Wind. That sounds pretty darn good. Yeah. So, yeah, I really didn't have a TV. We had a TV briefly, a couple times. We watched Wheel of Fortune and had popcorn together. And it was a very social activity, me and my mom. And we watched Heart to Heart, which I thought was super cool because Robert Wagner had a cool voice. And we watched... I watched Thundercats. I would come back from KC, my junior high, and watch Thundercats. Thundercats! Ho! I don't remember, but that's all I remember. All right, Claudine. Great advice. The days are long, years are short. Patience, gratitude, kindness. Stopping to go out and look at the sky helps me so much when I feel frustrated or overwhelmed. Now the kids do it too. Yeah, just going out and looking at the clouds, looking at the sky, looking at your day, looking at your life. There's something amazing about it, that nature is just waiting to cheer you up and to wake you up and to bring you back. Jennifer Young, we are taught to be independent, speak our minds, never stop trying. Yeah, I think that's an incredibly powerful thing, to encourage children to thoughtfully express themselves, like the Kennedys and many other families would hold respectful but passionate debates around the dinner table. I love that. Just sitting down together and having a meal together and talking about your day, about your ideas. How powerful is that? To be kind and love everyone regardless of ethnicity, gender, or socioeconomic status. Sometimes I think they wish we didn't learn the speaking of our minds so well. LOL. I would love to supplicate you, Jennifer, to blog more about this. I would love to hear more about this on Elephant. elephantjournal.com/submit. Consider it. Lots of comments for Redford. Janet, kids today just seem to live online rather than joy of someone's company in person. And it's understandable. We're busy, we're speedy, we're exhausted at the end of the day. We just want to slop down with our nachos and watch TV. And we want the kids to go watch TV so we can just have some peace and quiet. But it doesn't really work. Ultimately, we're all just being babysat in a way by our TVs or our laptops or our phones. And ultimately, at some point, we want the opposite. They did this study of all the nations that live where the people live the longest, all the islands or cities or towns where people live the longest. And one of the defining characteristics, other than good, real, simple food, was community. That people were socially interacting all day long. Playing chess, playing games, talking, gardening together, whatever. Janet, beautiful comment. Right on. Nienke, I grew up in theater. My mom was a ballet teacher and my dad was a sound technician. We didn't have much money either, but my parents showed me to feel free. I mean, that sounds super wealthy in a way, you know? Wonderful. Sharon, I'm a single mom to special needs boys as well as NT girls. I don't know what NT is. I'm teaching my kids that manners cost nothing. I love that. They're free. and are remembered and valued. They cost nothing, but they're priceless. And that if they can help someone out, they should without expecting anything in return. Sharon, you sound incredible. Thank you for sharing that. If they can help someone out, they should without expecting anything in return. Ashley showed a great blog about a good way to start learning about money. Holly in the comments. Holly, hey there from Latvia, originally from Oregon, and I loved living in Colorado for a year. My parents gave me the love of the outdoors and having a caring heart, plus so much more. They encouraged my love and passion for working with students with special needs. Sounds amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Kelly from Tucson. Zanette from New Zealand. Wow, super cool. Holly, love everything I do, or Elephant does. Thank you so much. Naya, loads of love from Denmark. Super cool. Luxanari Tavar Brahma, amazing name. You win the name lottery. Ashley, when you read Elephant, you are keeping us alive. Become a member, elephantjournal.com/read. Only if you like. It's about $1 a month, and that buck goes to pay our editors and our best consistent writers to do good work for you. Holly, hey Redford and Waylon, my mom teaches me an insane amount of wisdom. I wish I spent most of my life appreciating it, but I did not, so I'm making up for lost time. Good on you. She's great, and I hope I can find that wisdom and patience inside me when I have children. Love, read The Tao of Parenting. It's the most amazing book ever. I am learning so much from it. Maybe you could share on Elephant 10 lessons I learned from The Tao of Parenting. elephantjournal.com/submit. I would love to hear that. Pilar from New Hampshire, hello. Your name's Redmond, which is kind of like Redford. Holly, look at the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. It's great in the classroom, but also for parenting. Holly, consider writing about it. Parenting is a fine balancing act. It's important to remember. If you feel guilty about whatever, that means you care, and you're awesome. Sherry, I love that comment. And your last name is a good movie. From Ashley, parenting well can heal our own painful childhoods. Sounds good. Kelly, I'm afraid I'm spoiling my 3-year-old. Parenting is hard. I think my childhood was so crazy and lacking what I needed that I'm overcompensating with my daughter. I'm very physically affectionate, but I hate saying no for anything. Well, so for you, Kelly, maybe watch my video on the big no. It's a Buddhist notion, and actually saying no is just as big a gift, if not bigger, because it's harder to say sometimes to those we love. Being able to say no is a big gift to be able to give those we love. So, Ashley, maybe you could put the Big No blog or video in the comments. Look at that. Pilar, this is exactly what this entire video is about. I didn't get a lot of these great things growing up, but I'm doing my best to change it with my own wonderful girls. Look at you. Danielle. Haha, I totally guilt myself for guilting myself. Danielle, amen. Thank you, Waylon. Hit the nail on the head. I worry so much about what they may struggle with in their future that I'm not present enough in the now. Yeah, being present is really a solution for just about everything. And remember, the present is not an isolated thing. It includes the past. The present is like a plant that comes out of the past and extends to the future possibilities. So it includes both. Janet, I felt the same too, critical, wanting her to behave more normal, in quotes, ashamed and not invited to birthdays or events because of my daughter's extreme hyperactivity now as an adult at 19. She seeks love and acceptance in the wrong ways. Too many boyfriends, tries too hard to be liked, but ends up annoying. Yeah, it's a really powerful comment from you, Janet. I was similar in the last sentence. I tried too hard to be liked, but end up being annoying. I was incredibly outgoing and bold and loud, but also really insecure. And I got yelled at all the time for being bold and loud and outgoing. And I was told to shut up in just about every room I ever walked into for a year when I lived at a Buddhist retreat center in Vermont. And, there were some nice people as well. But it's hard being a kid. And we forget that sometimes. It's hard being a work in progress. And we're all works in progress, but when you're a child, you really feel like that. You're just kind of learning who you are and what the world is. So, that blog Maitri will really help, especially the too many boyfriends thing. If you love yourself, you don't need to find confirmation outside. Laurel, I was a single parent of 2 boys. Nothing was perfect. No one is. One thing I did do was apologize to them. Sorry, my neck's tight. When I knew I was wrong or unfair, they both turned out okay. Good on you, Laurel. It's a good, relaxed, middle way attitude. Joy, seems that the older the kids get, the less basic their needs become. It gets tricky. Kiara, big love. Nienke, today I woke up with this video. Oh, cool. That's my La Nien and Lu, how to organize your life in an enlightened manner from the Buddhist tradition. La Nien and Lu, thank you for sharing that. That's one of the first times ever a reader has shared an elephant link instead of us sharing it. Super helpful, and it's nice to know someone's getting something out of something. From Ashley, find a loving community. Great link. Finding your people, the importance of community. These links are all in the comments, and you can read them after or now if you like. My parents were from Shelley. My parents were very young and full of vocal love when I was born. I used to view that as a huge negative, but now I know at my core I'm an optimistic teenager because of modeling them. They always stressed how fortunate we were and how it was our responsibility to look after the less fortunate. I love that. That reminds me of my blog, Data Boy Who Serves. Ashley, if you could put that in the comments. It's not just about dating. It's about that the highest honor is to be able to be a servant or to serve others with a sense of joy, not martyrdom. Now I'm a nurse with fantastic teens of my own. This is still from Shelley Williams Bradford. It's all about love and faith, even if it's wildly silly, unrealistic teen parent faith. Maybe especially silly, unrealistic teen faith. Whoop! I love your comment. You should write about that, Shelley. Please write. elephantjournal.com/submit. Autumn. Enjoy Elephant and Waylon just about every day, especially since becoming a member this year. Thank you. Looking forward to getting Waylon's book. I'm learning so much about myself and self-awareness through your articles. I even print some out and use them to discuss self-awareness with my therapist, like gaslighting. Thank you, Autumn. Your comment pretty much made my day. And Ashley, maybe you should share that comment with all the editors, because I know you'll share everyone's day. Karen, looking good, Waylon. I got a cool shirt. I like old cowboy shirts. Janet, thank you, Waylon, for the love and kind words. You deserve it, and read about Maitri. You got to be good to yourself. That's an order. How to recover from an abusive relationship. There's a great blog from Ashley in the comments. Noel, love to you in red. Heart, awesome stuff you put out. Rachel, Daw, Redford, great links. Thank you from Joy. Thank you. Janet, thanks for the links. Here's a great comment from Autumn. I have a tendency to be a ferocious mother, overprotective, very connected, very involved. My kids get overwhelmed by me, and I even overwhelm myself. I love this. You have to write about this. I was a single mom for so long, and I always felt like I was just holding my life together by threads, but now it is different, and we are secure. But now they are getting older, and I want them to explore life, but it scares me like nothing else. I don't want to lose my kids to the world, but I got to let them spread their wings. I don't like this phase. Beautiful comment. So honest. I mean, first of all, Autumn, you're just being honest, and that is the greatest gift to give your children. If you can be honest with your fear, honest with your wishes for them, honest with your own experience, then they can be honest with their own experience, good and bad, happy and sad. That is one of the greatest gifts. So honestly, I feel pretty good about where you're at. Autumn, please write that up as an article. elephantjournal.com/submit. The commercial break, great time to meditate. Thank you, Ashley, for covering for me. So that was this. So I've known this gentleman, Brian Bowen, who helped build co-housing. Speaking of community, co-housing is where everyone has their own apartment or their own house, but they all live, they have common facilities like a dining hall, common places to have weddings or funerals or play for their children, or a hot tub or whatever. So there's a lot in common, common tool shed. Like on my block, there's say 40 houses, I don't know, 30 houses, 20 houses. There's probably 20 lawnmowers in 20 different sheds. That doesn't really make sense. Why don't we have one big shed and share stuff? So that's what co-housing is about. So Brian Bowen, dear friend, built tons of co-housing in Boulder, Colorado, and he's involved in the co-housing organization nationally and internationally. I went to one of the co-housing conferences at his invitation once, and spoke about something or other. And anyway, he's a leading green architect, super cool dude. And he and I are working on maybe building a kind of opening up my attic and building a sort of play area for my future children and for myself where I can write, and building a master bedroom that's bigger, because basically I have 3 little bedrooms upstairs and the doors knock into a bed frame. They're really small little Victorian rooms, which I think is why no one bought my house back before I bought it and got a good deal on it. And then I have a shed in the backyard, and we're going to move that shed up into the air basically and put a whole foundation below it that will be a garage and tool shed and bike shed. And then the shed, the old historic shed, which was built for $40 in 1904, will move to the second story and become a home for, you know, yoga or my office or my mom, hopefully, if I can ever get her to move down. And it's not totally legal right now to have a, in my neighborhood, to have people, it's called a ADU, something dwelling unit, additional. You can't have people live legally in your backyard, but Boulder's working on changing that because we want more density. So if Boulder changes it, then we'll do that. And we're doing all of it super green and super cheap, like $100 a square foot, which is about as cheap as you can get. And we're going to use reused materials and Blue Jean insulation and non-toxic stuff and cover it and do an article on it. And I've already done a lot of that in my house. You can do a lot of cheap, affordable stuff. So that was the commercial break interruption, was an engineer which is leaving because he feels sick. So he's going to come back Monday. Danielle, I'd like to add my guilt stems from my completely chaotic childhood. My mom left when I was 3, so it was just me and my dad. He is the greatest person in my life and taught me unconditional love. However, he was very lax and I had 0 boundaries, so pretty much ran around like a crazy person as a kid. On the flip side, my mom let my stepdad try to be a crazy strict parent to me. When I saw her 4 days a month, he was just so antagonistic and so critical. So my guilt stems from the fact that I know I needed much more guidance and stability at home, so I wouldn't have made so many bad decisions as an adolescent teen, but also never want to be the type of parent my stepdad. His kids turned out fine, but there was definitely a self-esteem price to pay. On the topic of, so again, not too tight, not too loose, right? That's what the Buddha said to the musician who asked how to meditate. He said, just in the way you tune your guitar, not too tight, not too loose. On the topic of parenting positives from our own childhood, my dad truly taught me unconditional love. He accepted me even at my worst and only condemned my behavior, but never me as a person. I think that's powerful. You can say, no, that's bad, but you're wonderful and I love you. And it's interesting in your reflection, in your comment, Danielle, it sounds like you as a child, going with Laurel's comment, which is right after you, that you as a child knew how you needed to be parented, but you didn't totally get that from either of your parents. It's interesting how much wisdom children have if we allow that to be given room and to manifest. Laurel says, even children can be forgiving. They know that you love them. All right, another great comment from Ashley. A good dog trainer or parent is connected to their basic goodness. There's a yogic practice of dog training from Julie. All right. I'll just read a couple more comments. Wow, there's so many. It's amazing. It's like not very many people are watching, it seems like, but there's a million comments. Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, I think let's just meditate and wrap up for today, because otherwise this video is going to go on for 10 hours and you guys got to leave and have a life. So if I didn't get to your comment, apologies. You can copy paste it and reshare it on Monday, and I will answer it. I do these videos Monday through Friday, and when I click finish here, a button will pop up and you can click to get alerts from Facebook whenever I'm doing a video, if you care to. And we've featured tons of cool people. We had Radha on this week, a powerful woman entrepreneur, the founder of Thinx and Daybreaker. Sober Partying. Thinx is panties for periods. We've had Michael Pollan on, Deepak Chopra. We've had all kinds of cool people. You can check out all the videos on youtube.com/elephantjournal. If everyone doesn't mind giving a thank you to Ashley And now let's meditate for 2 minutes. Come back to the present moment, which is always available. So take a great posture and relax. Just like being a parent, be a great parent, but then relax. Can't be an uptight great parent. Find your breath in and out. Eyes are open, not trying to block anything out. This is Buddha Shamatha. Find your breath in and out. Eyes are looking straight ahead but down. Hands are just relaxed on your thighs. Breathe in, breathe out. Be a breath connoisseur. Really appreciate the breath in and out. If you find yourself thinking, label it thinking in your mind. Come back to your breath. It's that simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Thinking. And then you just do that until you find yourself fully present with your breath. It's okay to have thoughts. That'll happen endlessly. Now end, just as we begin, with a dedication of, may anything we have done today and will do today be of benefit to the whole world. Thank you so much. Big love to all of you. As soon as I hang up, you can click Get Notifications.